there is a very prominent Hispanic political activist in Phoenix, Arizona. A very devout Christian this person is. As you remember, Janet Napolitano, who is now the Director of Homeland Security, was the governor of Arizona prior to going to Washington under the President administration. When Janet Napolitano went to Washington, she asked this very prominent activist, whose name I have in front of me right here. I could call on the phone if I wanted to. And she asked her to come to Washington and be the liaison between the Hispanic community of America and Homeland Security. At the time, they offered her a job. They offered her a salary, $170,000, if she would take this position. When she finally was approved and went to Washington to take a position, Janet said, now, and called her by name, said, you cannot talk about certain things if you're going to come here. I know you're a Christian, but she said, you cannot talk about abortion. You cannot talk about homosexuality. You cannot talk about, and you cannot disagree with the present administration in any manner. But she said, we'd like you to take the job. Well, this individual, very strong Christian, said, I'm sorry, Janet, I can't give up my Christian convictions for the sake of $170,000 a year. She said, I can't take the job. As a result, didn't. Last week, this individual was back in Washington again, trying to raise money, trying to get some grants for some of her Hispanic organizations, and Janet Napolitano heard that she was in Washington. Janet called her on the phone and said, will you please let's have lunch together? They did. I think it was Thursday of last week. This is recent. I'm not talking about 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 weeks ago, a month ago. I'm talking about last week. This individual just got back to Phoenix, and she said, in the course of the conversation, Janet said, now, I am only saying this to some very close friends of mine. And she said, I want you to go back to Phoenix, and the first thing I want you to do is store in your house 6 months' supply of food and water immediately. And this individual said, Janet, why? She said, I can't tell you. She said, something is about to happen. She said, go back and take care of this right now. This was very urgent. And this was Thursday of last week, if I remember correctly. Folks, you've got to understand that what Alex is saying on his show, what you're hearing on InfoWars, this is not fantasy out there someplace. This is for real. These people are ready to do some very drastic things. And fortunately, because of the elitists whom I know and have known over these 35 years, one of whom now is terminal and just about to die, they're giving me this information, and I am passing it on to you. I hope that you'll take action and do something about it. September the 13th through the 17th of this year, it was 400 to 1 of insider trading on the New York stock market. That means insiders, corporate heads of CEOs, was selling their own corporate stocks. And it was 400 to 1, 400 being of the corporate sellers compared to 1 of the John Doe out here selling. Listen to this figure. October the 4th through the 8th. Now, we're right here, right where we are almost today. The insider trading has gone to 1,600 to 1. Folks, are you getting this? Do you understand that the corporate heads, the CEOs, the corporation managers, that these people are selling their own company stocks and bailing out in mass, and they have done it within 1 month's time from 400 to 1 to 1,601? What is it that these elitists, many of them, and these corporate heads, what is it that they know that you and I don't know? Why are they bailing out?
Continue.
Well, I was told by my elitist friend, and I recorded it on DVD, that by 2012, the dollar will be dead. What is it that these people know? They know what's about to happen. They know that we're going to a world currency. They know that the dollar is on its way out. Russia knows it. China knows it. That's the reason they didn't sign their agreement for crude oil and natural gas using dollars. Instead, they said we're going to use another currency. They're looking to the future because they know what's going to happen. The elitists have it already have stated to me that by 2012, the dollar will be dead. Folks, you better prepare. Anything that you're going to do with your dollars, you need to do them now, because you may not have the opportunity. The dollar is crashing very rapidly. This is very obvious that something is in the wind that the elitists are doing. Now, they don't want to wait until the American people get so angry and upset that they start a revolution. They want to bring it about in such a manner that you will be so poor you won't be able to do anything. Let me read you the 3 statements that he gave to me just under 2 years ago. He said, within 2 years, you will not recognize America. I'm reading them verbatim. Again, and I recorded this on DVD. I'm so glad I did, so nobody can ever doubt it. He said again, by 2012, the dollar will be dead. Again, in the same conversation, he said, within 2 years, nearly everyone will be working for the government. This is before the takeover of General Motors and Chrysler and AIG and the bank problems that we had toward the end of the Bush administration and before health care. Do you realize that all of these things are coming to pass exactly as this individual told me they would happen? The elite want a Middle East crisis within 4 to 5 months' time. It is now. Before I said you have nothing to worry about. I'm telling you now, you're within 4 or 5 months to the time that they want this. It is time. Gold and silver. Oh, my goodness, people, I warned you. I begged of you 2 years ago to buy gold and silver. Now, folks, I don't sell gold and silver. I don't represent any gold and silver dealer or company. You couldn't buy a piece of gold or silver for me if you call me on my phone personally and ask me to sell it to you. I am telling you what I have been told. Gold and silver, when I warned you 2 years ago, it was $600 to $650 an ounce. Today it's $1,350 an ounce, and it's still cheap. Where is gold and silver going? Here is the prediction. The currency of the elite is gold and silver. They are not going to allow anything to control it nor to disturb it. I warn you years ago, gold and silver, and I've just been told it's going up, 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 up. Can I say it any plainer? You have seen nothing yet. The price of gold and silver is going so catastrophic about what it is today, you have never seen the likes. It is I was told by this elitist that the only place that you could protect your assets is in gold and silver, and even at $1,350 an ounce, it still is cheap compared to what you're going to be paying for it a year from now.
And that's what he told you.
Yes, it's going to continue to go up and up and up. There is no end to this. It is the only thing. You can't depend on real estate anymore. There's no way in this world. This mortgage crisis, and we haven't even gotten on that subject yet. One of the issues that has been so prominent lately is a mortgage crisis. And let me tell you what the elitists, have planned. They planned it way back in the 80s. They knew exactly what they were doing. This is not happening by chance. Every bit of this is by design. It is MBS. You'll be hearing this word more and more. Mortgage-backed securities. They started these teaser loans, these interest-only, all of the modern-day method of mortgaging. Now, that's both for residential and commercial real estate. They knew when they started issuing these loans that it was going to wind up exactly where it is today. And it is estimated that the mortgage-backed securities issue is as high as $45 trillion. A professor in a university up in the Northeast gave this statistic this past week. It's mind-boggling. What they've done is they have taken your house mortgage. They've taken the residential and the commercial mortgages, and they've sliced them and they've diced them. And without having paperwork, they only had oftentimes computer entries to prove that they had the rights to be able to do this. They have sold these things to everything from pension funds to mutual funds to banks to insurance companies to France to England. They've sold them all over the world, and they've used them for bartering and trading. And it's oftentimes what you hear about as the secret instrument, so to speak, is going on today. Now, what is the end result of this going to be, folks? This is so. When I heard this, I literally was mind-boggled. Eventually, the government will have to step in and bail this industry out. There is no way that, and they want it. The end goal of this is for this crisis to become so critical. Now, you remember only about 2 weeks ago, Bank of America, Chase, a number of other lending institutions said we're not going to any longer make any foreclosures. We're not going to sell any foreclosed mortgages on houses. And then just the beginning of this week, they came back and changed altogether and said we're starting all over again. They are scared to death. The lending institutions have repossessed property. They've turned around and resold that property illegally. Now, please listen to this. If you have bought a house within the past 3 years' time that was a repossession, you probably cannot get a clear title to it, and the banks know it. And you will lose. You ought to lose that property. I don't want to frighten you, but if you bought anything repossessed from one of the lending institutions in the past 3 years, you are due to lose it. Why? Because they don't have proper title. They don't have the warranty deeds. They did not get the paperwork from the counties. And these $45 trillion worth of debt is out there floating
Lindsey,
around.
stay there. We're going to do 5 more minutes on this and then go directly to calls.
The elitists have engineered this. They know exactly what they're doing. They want a crisis to grow so big that they're basically just waiting until it can grow so large that they can say to the Federal Reserve, you've got to bail us out. Of course, they'll do it through the Treasury of the United States of America like they've done the other bailout programs of GM and Chrysler and AIG, and they'll say, there's no way. The world is going to collapse. The sky is going to fall in. And so as a result, you can expect in the future, and this is what the elite want, they want the government to step in and bail out these mortgage-backed securities, and it's going to take an original bailout somewhere between the tune of $2 and $7 trillion. That's the original bailout. It could go as far as $45 trillion if they bail out everything that's out there. Now, what's this going to bring about? Oh, this is the scary part. Whenever this happens, now this man told me 2 years ago, and I couldn't comprehend what he was saying. He said, after 2 years, you will be so poor. And he said again, after 2 years, nearly everyone will be working for the government. Folks, when they bail out this mortgage-backed securities issue that we've got right now, the elite will own, folks, are you getting this? The elite will own every piece of mortgaged real estate in the United States of America, both commercial and residential, and you will make your house payment to the elite because they will own it through the Federal Reserve, which they are.
And that's how they're taking houses that are they're even taking houses that are paid for because the note was sold to so many people, they're all coming to get it. And
that's right. If you have bought a house within the past 3 years that was repossessed, you probably do not own clear title to it, and they can come in and take it. You will be their slave. Oh, Alex, I don't know how to say to these people.
No, that's how it works. The government, Israel and the U.S. releases the worm, then says we got to take the web over. They create the mortgage crisis and then say we got to take over to save it, and then it only gets worse. I mean, this is what they do.
Oh yes, positively. They have been able to fill that pipe with the drill mud, and they have stopped the leak, but that does not take care of the core exit problem. It does not take care of the oil that's already there. This is going to last for years and years and years to come. They have downplayed this. BP has hired every scientist that went down there to investigate it and to put them on their payroll for years to come in order to keep them quiet. This is a disaster of disasters still, but nobody's even talking about it.
Yeah, the last one I had was nearly everyone will be a government employee. Could you flesh that out a little more?
Well, he means they're going to control the whole system, so even if you're private sector, you'll be beholden to them and be paying checks one way or another to them. Correct, Lindsey?
Well, let's just take an example, your health care bill. Every doctor, every dentist, every nurse, every hospital, every person that works in the medical profession of any kind will be an employee of the federal government after the health care bill has taken place. That means that every bank is going to likewise, once they bail out this mortgage-backed security problem, every bank, every person that works for a bank, everybody that has a pension fund, you will basically get it from the elite. This is their goal, is to totally control everything. The name of the game is control.